welcome to another instalment of the Voice newspaper and Global Sport in Colour sports magazine show. I'm here with Michael Facey from Nothing Long and the sports editor of The Voice, Rodney Hines. How you doing, guys?
Very well, bless.
Good, yeah. We're here to talk England very, very quickly. This is a very, very short pod this week. England are going to win both games, right? Bulgaria and Kosovo.
100% they're going to win it, mate.
And improve their goal difference as well.
I think so. They're flying high at the top of the table at the moment. It seems like it's easy work and nothing more than we expected. One of the things that we wanted to focus on this week was Tyrone Mings and the composed manner with which he did his first England press conference after his surprise call-up. Face, we were there. What did you make of the young man?
I love Mings, man. Didn't rate him before because I didn't know nothing about him. And as we do in football, we look at the top teams and we rate the top players, don't we? Absolutely. How he conducted himself, his stories, his character, his charisma, everything about what he was saying was perfect. I mean, we're going to show snippets of it in here anyway.
Let's just do that. Let's just go straight to the bits that we found the most interesting.
When I was a mortgage advisor and when I was playing non-league football, I had different goals. Playing for England seemed like a different world, where I just needed to get back into the professional game at that point. So I can't say that whilst I was sat on my desk cold calling or trying to help people remortgage that playing for England was a real achievable goal. But as I've worked with some great coaches and been able to play for some great clubs, everything has kind of culminated together to get me to this point. So at different times I've had to reassess my goals, obviously going through injuries and stuff like that. But no, it makes it all the more sweeter being sat here right now.
You made a reference to a number of the England players earlier and the number of subjects that they're very vocal on. Is now more than ever, in a wider context, is it more important to have leaders from lots of different demographics in the England team, given the issues that are facing young people today?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a very diverse squad here, and I think we have players here that everybody in different walks of life can relate to. So I do think that is important. Like you said, at the moment, there's a lot of things going on in terms of racism and discrimination in different forms. So to be able to look at the England squad and see such a diverse group can only be positive.
Rodney, you heard Darren Lewis's distinctive dulcet tones asking a question about diversity and the increased diversity amongst the England team. At the moment, I thought that Tyrone handled that whole press conference well, but I thought he handled that question quite well as well, gave great insight. What's your thoughts on the type of England team that we have now as opposed to what you've seen over the years?
It's great to see, isn't it? For me, it's great to see that something John Barnes always talks about, that the squad represents society now, doesn't it? And they're in there on merit. That's the interesting thing. Do you know what I mean? It's not about ticking boxes, whatever. They're there on merit, and I think Mings' story is absolutely superb because he was playing non-league not too long ago.
Selling mortgages.
Yeah. And it shows that anything's possible, because without trying to upset the Villa fans, I think he's still capable from what I've seen already. And I've watched a lot of Villa in the Championship last year, early days, saw them at Tottenham not too long ago. And I can see him making another couple levels up. I think it's got in his game. So yeah, I'm really pleased for him.
Does he take a spot straight away, Face, or has he got to work?
In the England
yeah, in the England squad. Because he, as they pointed out in that press conference, the Opta stats have him at the top of most metric. You know, he's done well, blocks, headers, and all that. And as he alluded to, that's what a defender's supposed to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just and I guess with Villa having been tested quite extensively so early on in the season,
Continue to be tested.
yeah, he's going to have to be on top of his game. So he's carried on from where he left off last season. But my thing is, I'm looking at the centre back pairing or centre backs, depending on how South.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say that. I think the thing what we do or what we should do is look at the most improved players, how the players that are on form, and find a way to slot them in. I think The only thing we have to be careful of is the system that's in place and chemistry of the two players that are already there and how they're working. If you slot one in, does he fit straight into the system and get on with the job, or does he disrupt the balance?
I think under Gareth Southgate, and it's been so refreshing, he's giving young people an opportunity. Where maybe 5 years ago, you might have had to serve a little bit more of an apprenticeship to get into the starting 11. I think right now, he's playing players. Yeah. So that's why new players to the Premier League, like Mason Mount, who Mings gave a shout out.
Big shout out.
Your Mason Mount, just to slightly go off the surface to come back again, performing for Chelsea.
And do you know
what
what
I mean? Mings performing for Villa.
Do you know what's important as well? Remember, most of these players are from the under 23s and the younger squad.
Continuity.
So it's the continuity. So they understand Gareth's system.
And I also think it's a tribute to the Championship. I mean, we talk about it sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
The Championship right now is full of former Premier League clubs, but it's highly competitive.
Yeah.
Mount at Derby last year, obviously Mings at Villa last year, etc., etc. It's all good.
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas, as I said, I just think the views on how and when you get into an England squad and team, they're changing. And I think that's really refreshing.
As you said, we're talking ahead of the games, so we're looking forward. We all expect England to qualify for the next European Championships. The way Southgate's going, he's mixing it up in a way that he's going to have a big old squad to choose from. A huge depth and talent that maybe we haven't seen previously in years gone by. The right approach?
Without doubt.
Can't
Been successful. Third semi-finalist of a World Cup.
And they look good with it as well.
Yeah, pretty close to a Nations League success as well. Yeah, it's refreshing, and I think on the back of the World Cup, I think people that maybe were sitting on the fence in terms of supporting England in the past because they might have been a bit dismayed with previous performances are back on side because of this refreshing nature and the fact the team are doing relatively well as well.
Support's been rejuvenated, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
And I also think that with the success of the English teams in the Champions League, with some of the English players that are in those squads that are now in the England team, that also helps because you're breeding champions.
A couple of English managers in the top flight as well. Can't remember a time when there was as many, if I'm keeping it really 100%. New ones as well. Before we sign off, I guess it'd be remiss of us not to talk on John Barnes, some of his comments. Obviously responded to Jadon Sancho, alluding to the fact that he might fall out of love with the game if the issues of racism within it are not addressed, touched on, redressed, dealt with, eradicated. Been some strange views out there, but one of the things that I thought straight away was that John probably should have had a word in Jadon's ear rather than go public and blast him in the way that he did. He might not consider it, blasting him. He might consider it a dose of reality, home truths, call it what you like, John. It was a bit harsh. The boy's young, I think those young players could benefit from an arm around the shoulder.
Guidance, innit?
Well, yeah, and just, a word in the ear and maybe shared experience away from the camera. I don't know what you guys think about it, if indeed you did.
No, I do think you're absolutely right with the last part more so. Most things should be done away from the camera. You don't need to just air it out in the public eye all the time. And like you said, they are young players. They're very much reactive, not proactive. So they're only going to react until they get the arm around them and says, you don't have to react all the time. Do it like this, you'll be all right. So, yeah, man.
I mean, I think it's something that JC always talks about. It's about each individual's truth at the end of the day. So there was some elements of truth from both men. You talked about shared experiences. Wouldn't it be sad that we have to still do it and talk about it in 2019, but John Barnes, Jadon Sancho, documentary or advert or feature would have so much power, wouldn't it? Because John has lived with it, kicking away the banana famously and having to go through so much.
End of the spectrum, really.
Totally in. But confirming to the authorities, nothing's changed. So you said shared experiences may be the way forward.
Fact.
All right, well, we said it'd be a quick one. We're not going to get too deep. Probably come back next week after the games are done, ahead of the Premier League games, the next round of Premier League games. We'll talk Arsenal, Tottenham, and we'll get that one out of our system. I'd take it from there. But until then, we'll speak to you soon. Thanks, guys.
Nice.